Content warning. View at your own discretion. Suspects are currently wanted by authorities. If you have any information, please contact your local law enforcement.
This is whether it's some kind of gas, and I'm not talking about gasoline, the fuel, the liquid. I'm talking about some kind of gas itself. What could be inside a tank like this? Because it does not look like an ordinary fuel tank being pulled by this truck. And that introduces another level of danger. You have a several ton truck making its way at high speeds, stolen. You don't know what these drivers are going to do. And then you have the added danger of what is inside this tanker.
Well, right. And keep in mind, we initially got this report just before 10:40 this evening, because this driver was armed. This driver was shooting at CHP officers. That's what that initial report came in as. So a very dangerous situation, not only on the road, but potentially inside too.
Yeah, just doing a rudimentary Google search, what kind of different tankers. This could be a cryogenic truck. It could be some kind of gas container. It does not look like a fuel tank, which I believe are a little more oblong. This looks like it's a little skinnier. It looks circular, cylindrical in shape. And but again, you just don't know what is inside. I believe Mike, our director, just told us that we do have some video which we can queue up of the, here's how it started. So they have the truck going the wrong direction on the 5 freeway, trying to carjack this cab. And you see the driver back up the off-ramp, going backwards. And here comes another big rig. The guy gets back into his truck, ignores this truck going by now, but continues up the wrong direction on this on-ramp to the 5 freeway until he finds his next victim. And that winds up being this tanker truck, which you'll watch. He will come into contact, not letting him go by, and now colliding with that truck. 2 people emerge from this work truck. One of them, the driver, in a vest. The second time we've seen a pursuit today with someone in a vest, and the driver gets out. You would have to imagine that happened so fast that person, Sophie, likely had a weapon. And you see a second person, the passenger in the truck, get into the driver's seat, I believe, in this tanker truck. And here's that other truck that goes by, slowing down, stopping to see what was going to happen. I was curious whether this truck was going to try and block the egress of the stolen tanker truck. And you can see the carjacked truck driver now run into the roadway and trying to communicate with that driver.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the live picture on the left-hand side here, it kind of appears as though the driver was slowing down there for a minute, but still going still going on the I-5.
No, I think they've gotten off on the old road. This looks like a 2-lane.
Excuse me. Yes, I think you're right.
Right now, passing. We'll see when they emerge from this underpass. This could be the truck. You know, if you've driven the 5 freeway through this area, the road's kind of split there at the top of the hill, and you can take either the truck route, the HOV route. So it's either another branch of the 5 interchange, or they got off at the old road. But there it is. That is that tanker truck that it was carjacked, stolen. We believe at gunpoint. We have reports of gunfire. This driver, one of these 2 men who are in this truck, firing at officers when they were still in that pickup truck that we just saw, that they left and have now carjacked this truck. And so, yeah, the speeds are picking up. This might just be another outlet on the 5 freeway. It's gonna meet back up here as they head further south. I believe, we'll see. Again, you see this is the main roadway of the 5 that we're now looking at. And at certain points, the roadway of the 5 splits and then rejoins, but they could be off to the east side on the old road. Yeah.
Not that one. There it is. That's the driver right there.
Yep. So we'll see if I think this is gonna meet back up. It's a very weird interchange, and in fact, just a little further north is one of the few places in America where the northbound side of a freeway or a highway is on the left, because the 2 roads split, cross back over again the further north you get towards the Grapevine. And I believe this is now rejoining with the 5 freeway. Yeah.
And I want to bring in Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert who assists us during these pursuits. Bruce, are you there?
I am there. Go ahead.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for joining us. Can you talk to us a little bit about really how dangerous this situation is right now?
Yeah, you have a tanker truck which weighs a lot more than a regular passenger car. So in order pit maneuvers, those won't work. Spike strips, maybe if they can isolate the truck itself. The other thing, too, which is very dangerous, this is not a regular tanker truck that we see with a placard of 1203 for gasoline. This is something else, some chemicals, maybe compressed natural gas. So that creates another issue also for law enforcement.
At some point, if we're able to get a closer look at the warning labels, I believe they should be on the back of this tanker. Maybe when we get a different angle here. And everyone in news has issued a guidebook on hazmat materials. We'll have to check that resource, and hopefully our desk will be on that, because we do not have one on our studio desk here. But we don't know what is inside of this tanker. We just know that it could pose an incredible danger to anyone who is in this area should something go wrong here. Any kind of crash, if this is a flammable material, gas, liquid, anything. We could be talking about a very dangerous situation. Bruce, you've been helping us out for a long time. You were in law enforcement for a long time. We have seen a lot of different vehicles. We've seen military vehicles. We've seen buses and trucks that have been taken on pursuits like this. The fact that we don't know, can you remember a situation like this, a tanker truck? We don't see it very often, but it does happen.
Yeah, we've had pursuits with semi-trucks, with trailers, but in this case, I cannot recall one with this type of vehicle, which just creates a huge issue for law enforcement. And the suspect or suspects in the vehicle have to have some skill in driving a semi-truck. That's what we were commenting on earlier, Sophie, is that this is not just anyone who can do this. You can't, the ordinary citizen who it cannot drive a stick shift and has to operate a large commercial vehicle like this would not be able to do so.
Right, and we are going to pause for a second here as we break into Eyewitness News at 11, so we hope you'll stay with us.
Yeah, Bruce Thomas, stand by as we continue to follow this pursuit. Now heading southbound on the 5 freeway. We can see, I believe that is a CHP cruiser behind, but when we get a closer look at law enforcement, who exactly is handling this chase at this time. But again, in about 30 seconds, we're going to start our broadcast on ABC7 over the air. And so we're going to take a quick pause, but we'll continue to follow this both streaming on abc7.com, on our ABC7 Los Angeles app, and over the air. But again, we are following a dangerous pursuit, a carjacking of a tanker truck now traveling down the 5 freeway back through Sylmar after carjacking, we believe, at gunpoint, taking over this truck. We will reset and be back in just a few seconds. Stand by. Stay with us.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
And good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock. If you have been joining us on our ABC7 Los Angeles stream, you have been following quite a pursuit now, our second of the day. A carjacking taking over this tanker truck now heading down the 5 freeway. I'm Jory Rand.
And I'm Sophie Flay. This started in Sylmar just before 10:40 tonight when our assignment desk got reports of carjacking with that driver or someone inside of that car, because we know that there were 2 people firing shots at CHP officers.
And this was an incredible scene that played out here on the 5 freeway. This began with what looked like a utility pickup truck driving the wrong way on the 5 freeway. We do have some video that we want to show you of this happening. On the right side of your screen, that pickup truck pulling up to a cab of a truck. There is no trailer attached to that. The driver was able to back up, and it's likely because of the fact they don't have a trailer on board, they were able to back up and stay out of harm's way. But the driver, not to be deterred here, of this pickup truck, continuing further up the wrong direction on this on-ramp to the 5 freeway near Sylmar, and they're going to choose their next victim. Another 18-wheeler passed by, but that's not going to happen again. You can see this driver not allowing this truck to get out of the way. This is the tanker truck running into the front of that truck. The driver of the utility truck gets out, opens the passenger door of that 18-wheeler. The driver then gets out of fear. We imagine that there might have been a gun brandished because we do have reports of shots being fired from this person, or there are 2 people. The passenger of the utility truck, that pickup, got out, and they are now the driver of this tanker truck. As we watch this play out, this 18-wheeler pulls up alongside and stops to investigate what had happened. We thought they might try to block that tanker from getting away, but at that moment, the carjacked driver of the tanker then runs onto the on-ramp to try and communicate with that driver. He is now stranded on the side of the road, and there goes the tanker truck. So again, that truck without the trailer comes into play. It looked like they were going to try and block this tanker from getting away. That did not happen. We watched that 18-wheeler at the bottom of your screen enter the 5 freeway. We were curious if that truck would try and block the truck's path. That did not happen as either. And so here we are about 15 minutes later. This truck has now gone northbound on the 5 freeway to Newhall, getting off, re-engaging the 5 freeway southbound, and that is where we stand with law enforcement in pursuit.
Yeah, now that you can see that this truck still going strong here now in Pacoima. And we mentioned those shots fired earlier. That's kind of how we got this initial report of this pursuit. And CHP units have now confirmed that they have located a firearm left inside of that original pickup truck that we showed you earlier. It's unclear if there is another firearm, because we did see 2 people hop into this truck now that these CHP officers are on the pursuit of. We can see at least 3 patrol cars here. This is kind of the first time that we've been able to see these patrol cars in our vantage point now. But again, still going strong. Not sure how fast this truck is going. It didn't appear as though it was going really fast earlier. We saw reports of maybe 25 miles per hour, but it has continued. This has persisted.
Looks like traveling just about at speed, not going too fast, not going too slow here. But again, with those pursuing officers. And a big question that we are wondering is what is inside that tank. This is not a normal fuel tanker, a gasoline, which is a little wider, a little more oblong at most times. This is a long cylindrical tube, for lack of a better term. It could have some kind of cryogenic, some cold freeze. It could have some kind of gas, natural gas on board. And that, of course, introduces yet another level of danger. Here we have a carjacked 18-wheeler with some kind of trailer with unknown substance inside. We want to bring in now Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert, who has been watching this pursuit along with us. Bruce, you've been in this game a long time. What are your initial thoughts watching this play out tonight?
You know that you've got to have a multi-plan event for this, because when the vehicle does stop, you have assault with a deadly weapon on police officers, you have a carjacking, 2 big-time felonies, and the fact that they've recovered a gun. You have suspects that are possibly still armed and dangerous. So there's a lot of missing pieces for CHP in this case.
Bruce, I mean, this is a big vehicle. You have to really know what you're doing to be able to drive this type of truck. But in terms of being able to stop it, I mean, what can law enforcement do at this time?
You know, just what they're doing now is kind of a wait and see, stay behind it, try to warn other vehicles. Hopefully it will get out of its way. Maybe they could deploy a spike ship, but that's going to be very hard to do, to get in front of this vehicle. And then once again, you know, as Jory said, what is the load of this vehicle? Is it cryogenic? Is it chemicals? Are we going to have hazardous materials incidents when this vehicle finally stops?
It's a question police are likely asking if they don't know already, because this enters another realm when we're talking about some kind of potentially flammable liquid or gas. And again, we want to let you know they are now on the 170 freeway southbound. That's why you see a fewer lanes on this roadway than when they were just on the 5. So that is where the 5 and the 170 split, now going southbound on the 170, approaching the North Hollywood area, which on a Sunday night is quiet. And that's one of the things you can say we are thankful about, is the fact that this is happening late on a Sunday night. Roadways are generally clear. There's not a lot of traffic at this time that we can see. But again, this is the second pursuit we've seen today, Sophie, where the driver, for some reason, was wearing a utility vest, one of those reflective vests, and then carjacking a vehicle. And this is a large vehicle. We certainly did not see that earlier.
Right. And Bruce, we know that, again, the initial reports came in on this pursuit of someone in that car firing shots at an officer or at CHP officers. So again, not knowing what's inside, what cargo is inside of this truck. If there are shots fired, I mean, law enforcement officers have to also be careful of what's inside there too, right?
Yeah, you don't want to return fire on a hazardous materials tanker truck, which could cause additional problems. But at the same time, you know, the suspects were armed or possibly still armed, and they did engage CHP in some sort of exchange of gunfire.
Hey, Bruce, can you walk our viewers through how the handoff goes for the pursuing law enforcement? I know this started out with the CHP Newhall taking over the pursuit from the Sheriff's Department in Palmdale and Lancaster. And as they enter different jurisdictions, the kind of jurisdiction will change for law enforcement. How do they coordinate and how does that work as they move their way through different parts of town?
Yeah, CHP is very well versed in this. You have, when it was headed up to Santa Clarita, you have the Newhall CHP station. And then you have West Valley CHP, then you have Hollywood area CHP, and then ultimately downtown. So they're just transversing geographic areas with, the CHP officers who will just hand it off.
Yeah. So their coordination over the radios, someone, if there's unified command or some kind of coordinating entity will coordinate this, or is it just kind of done on the ground as they enter new jurisdictions?
Well, you have watch commander who's ultimately in charge of the pursuit, and it's just a handoff. Basically, okay, we are now leaving Santa Clarita's area. We're headed back south, so it's going to be West Valley. So when they get closer to that, those CHP officers have pre-positioned themselves on the freeway, waiting for the vehicle to come by, and then they hand off. The other thing, too, CHP is very well versed in, as other agencies are, too, is you don't want to get tunnel vision. Being the lead patrol car is focused on that vehicle. So the vehicle that's second or third will do what we call calling the pursuit, the direction of travel, the speed, what the vehicle's wanted for, the description of the vehicle, so the primary vehicle, the first vehicle, can focus just on driving.
And Bruce, when this inevitably comes to an end, the best case scenario is that these drivers surrender, they pull over, but say that they just stop in the middle of the freeway here. It's Sunday night going into Monday morning. People are thinking about getting back to work, again, on a very busy freeway. What will officers do? Will they leave that truck? If that truck stops in the middle of the freeway, will they leave it there to further an investigation? Will they pull it over? I mean, again, like we've mentioned, we don't know what's inside that truck. So what happens when this comes to an end, if they stop in the middle of the freeway?
Yeah, what they're doing is they're planning for the end of the pursuit, the terminus as we call it, and they have multiple plans. One, do they surrender? Do they stay in the cab of the truck, and do we end up having a barricade, which causes an additional issue? CHP would call out probably the LA County Sheriff's Special Enforcement Bureau to arrive on scene and take that over. Then the other thing, too, like you said, what is in that vehicle? If they stop in the middle of the freeway, eventually you have to move it. So do they have the tow truck drivers who tow vehicles for CHP with the big rigs? Once it's all over, then they would move it. But ultimately, it's going to sit in the middle of that freeway, unfortunately.
Yeah. How about when this comes to an end and the drivers get out and officers behind draw their guns? Can you do that in a situation like this with a tanker truck with unknown payload on there? I mean, what if this is a flammable material and you have guns drawn? Is there any training for a situation like this? What do you do when you have a dangerous substance here that could react pretty poorly to bullets being fired?
Well, as you had said earlier, they are looking up in the hazardous materials handbook, which every vehicle has and every officer is versed in. What is the placard saying it is? Is it diesel fuel? Is it gasoline, compressed gas? Is it something that's dangerous as an inhalation hazard? So they've already gotten that information out. But like you say, now it stops. Can we, if we're engaged in a gun battle, do we return fire? That's a whole other factor.
Yeah. And some of you may have recognized the buildings as they go through here. This is now the 101 freeway through Universal City, about to go through the Cahuenga Pass and down into the heart of Hollywood. And then you're talking about a much different situation, because even on a Sunday night, if you live in that area, there could be a lot of traffic. There are a lot of landmarks in this area as they are heading southbound now on the 101, just passing Barham. I believe that's the overpass for Barham right there, and heading down towards Hollywood. Knowing everything that is in this area, you hope that this truck stays on the freeway. You do not want to see this play out on a side street in Hollywood, anywhere around there. There will be exits up here again for Cahuenga, for The next one might be Vine. The freeway passes right by Hollywood and Vine. They're going to pass the Capitol Records building right on the 101. As soon as they crest over the freeway in the Hollywood Bowl, we should see on the right there. I believe that's it right there. So dangerous time here. We can see the 101 is pretty clear up ahead. That is good news as this pursuit continues on. Again, if you are just now joining us, this began about a half an hour ago in the Palmdale, Lancaster area. Shots were fired at pursuing officers. I believe at that point it was still the LA County Sheriff's Department who transferred pursuit over to the California Highway Patrol. That has continued from the 14 freeway to both directions on the 5, northbound then southbound. This driver was in a pickup truck, wound up trying to carjack the cab of a big rig. Here you go on the right side again. This is what we saw earlier at about 10:45. Trying to carjack this trailerless cab. The driver of that cab then backs up the on-ramp to the 5 freeway. You can see this pickup truck continues going the wrong direction up the off-ramp until they find another victim. And
one of our producers just told us that truck drivers who have been watching our live stream have just called in to tell us, we're still waiting on clarity, but they've called to tell us that what is inside of that tanker is not hazardous. Again, we can't confirm that just based off of what we're looking at, but people who know better than I, it sounds like,
good.
Well, have a good idea.
That's great news. I'd love to know what kind of stuff that tanker carries, what container, but that theory, that statement is buoyed by the fact that we do not see any hazmat tags on the back of this truck. They're usually those placards, square or diamond, different colors, usually see them in red or blue or yellow, signifying different codes and numbers on the back, showing what kind of hazardous material you might have on board. We do not see those on this tank, and that is now likely confirmed by some other truck drivers who thank you for that information, guys and gals, who have been watching and helping us out.
But still a dangerous situation, again, because this vehicle is very large. You know, people have to train, to study, to be able to drive these trucks. I mean, it is really no joke. We did see one of the people who carjacked this truck did have a vest on, a utility vest on, which you know, was definitely of note here. But still a very dangerous situation. We know that this driver has not been going super fast on the freeway, but again, still dangerous. Also because we know that at one point that these two people that are in this truck were armed. We know CHP did find a firearm inside of the pickup truck that they were initially driving, so it's unclear if they still have a firearm on them, but still, again, a dangerous situation here tonight.
Chris Christie, watching our broadcast, our helicopter reporter during the week, says it looks kind of like a milk truck to him. I was thinking that, but it just looks a little small. There's no hazard in milk, so I would think they would have a tanker as big as some of the the gasoline trucks that we see, which are a little wider, a little higher. This is pretty compact. This is pretty small. So I didn't think it was a milk truck, only in that its size looks a little small. It just looks like it would be a little, you can fit a little more payload on there if this were just something as benign as milk. But again, it could be, and we are awaiting word of what it could be. But this pursuit continues on the 101 freeway, now heading towards downtown Los Angeles at relatively slow speed, but still dangerous nonetheless. This is now, I believe, passing Melrose. I'm recognizing the storage units. Yeah, the self-storage. This is in the middle of the two sides of the freeway. This should be right about Melrose, approaching Silver Lake. Yeah. And Vernon Avenue is somewhere around here. That should have been that right there. I believe that overpass is Vernon, and heading towards Silver Lake Boulevard should be next.
And we have law enforcement expert Bruce Thomas, who assists us on so many things, and especially pursuits. And Bruce, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but this has been going on for almost, 40 minutes now? What, if anything, can these officers do to try to stop these drivers?
Well, you know, the one thing, hopefully they were able to find out from the driver who was carjacked how much gas, how much diesel fuel was in this vehicle. That would tell officers at least how long this pursuit can go on. But in this case, it's kind of just we have to wait and see. He's not driving, or she or them are not driving dangerously. They are abiding by the speed limit. They're not changing lanes abruptly. So they're not putting the public in that kind of danger. However, with any pursuit, there is danger to the officers, to the suspects, and to the uninvolved third party who may get caught up in this.
Yeah, just going on a basic, another internet search of how long a tanker truck can go, a semi, anywhere from 1,000 miles to 2,000 miles on a tank of gas with a tank of upwards of 300-gallon capacity. Not much fuel efficiency. Still, that equals, even if you, 300 gallons, if you get a couple miles per gallon, you're talking about 1,000 miles or more. And we don't know, again, as Bruce said, how much fuel was left in the tank, but I don't think this is one where you're going to see them drive this until the gas runs out, until the fuel runs out, because you could wind up at the Mexico border if this continues southbound here. We don't know what the motivations are of this truck, and we see law enforcement shutting down or not shutting down the on-ramp, or just looks like there's an officer who's just allowing cars to go by, so I don't know what that driver, that CHP officer is doing on that on-ramp. You would think they would shut down the on-ramps and off-ramps to kind of clear the way for this pursuit, but that is not happening at first blush. And again, so here we see the split coming up of the 110 and the 5 freeway, 101 freeway continuing south. We know this interchange right at downtown. You can take the 110 either direction towards back up towards the valley, or you can head south down into South Los Angeles and hit the 10 freeway, or you can continue on 101, the 5 merge, where it then will split several times here. Officers moving ahead. We see this sometimes. Bruce, maybe you can talk a little bit about this, about officers pulling ahead and trying to block off those lanes of ingress and egress to kind of clear the way for these officers and the danger of having this truck continue on this pursuit. Do we still have Bruce? Okay, we might have lost Bruce. We'll get him back on the line here. But now it looks like getting on the 110. This would be the 110 southbound, which cuts right through downtown Los Angeles. It'll be going by right through downtown, right by the convention center. You have the Crypto.com Arena. And these are the apartments that years ago burned down during construction. And again, light traffic here at 11:19 on a Sunday night. That makes things a little bit easier for these pursuing California Highway Patrol officers. Light traffic through downtown. It's rare you can say that, Sophie, but it's glad it's a good thing that it's happening right now. Especially
in those lanes, literally right there, because those are very usually high traffic lanes. We are losing the driver just because these buildings are blocking our view at this moment. We'll see if we can get Air 7 back into view here, get our vantage point back here from Air 7.
And OC Dad just tweeted us, FYI, that is a milk truck. They've got milk on the mud flaps. So
wow, okay.
There you go. All right, well, let's hope that we don't see milk spilled on the 110 freeway here tonight. You can see that is likely California Highway Patrol, who is, do they have an airship overhead right now? So we can't tell who is that pursuing. You see the helicopter right under our bug, our live Air 7 bug. But as they make their way through the high rises of downtown Los Angeles, we're going to regain visual on that tanker truck, on that big rig that is, we believe, still on the 110 freeway, headed southbound. And we should get eyes on it here again momentarily. Again, this began quite a distance away. There it is. Quite a distance from where we are watching this play out right now. This began up in Lancaster, in the Palmdale, Lancaster area. Shots were fired at pursuing LA County Sheriff's deputies. That came from a pickup truck. I believe it was a Ford F-150, according to our notes from our assignment desk. That continued on the 5 freeway. At one point, that truck going the wrong direction on the 5 freeway, going, I guess it would be northbound on the southbound lanes, and then driving the wrong direction up an on-ramp, trying to carjack one big rig that did not have a tanker trailer attached, and then successfully carjacking this tanker truck on the on-ramp to the 5 freeway. And this has now traveled down the 5 to the 170 to the 101 and now to the 110. And it looks like this truck might be getting off. Is this the 10? No. That's the 10, might be going 10 eastbound now. So we have a cloverleaf here, and it looks like this truck is going to stay on freeways, which is good news in a situation like this. And it looks like getting on the 10 eastbound. And I believe we do have Bruce Thomas back. Bruce, are you back with us?
I am back with you guys.
Okay, good to have you, and thank you for your expertise on this. So we were talking about the fact that there is likely a lot of fuel left on this truck, and these vehicles can go a long ways, talking 1,000 miles or more before they run out of fuel. It doesn't seem plausible, but is this the kind of thing where you just are forced to let this play out? I mean, is there a way to intervene in any circumstance in a situation like this, or are you just at the mercy of this driver to let this truck go as long as they want?
For right now, it's going to be the latter. They are at the mercy of the driver until he or she wants to pull over. However, I think they will try to deploy a spike strip because they're basically on a transition road by the 10 now, and if they can control traffic, they can get ahead and deploy it, which would be a perfect positioning for that type of intervention.
We are hearing from Gabe Santos, who does some work with us as well as a helicopter reporter for us. There are 3 airships over this, 2 from the LA County Sheriff's Department and 1 from CHP. And is he off the freeway? I believe he's on. Yeah, you see him passing encampments there, gotten off the 10 freeway. This is a bumpy part of town. If you've ever gotten off the 10 freeway right south of downtown, you can see some encampments, graffiti in this area, and the roadways are not the best in terms of pavement. You saw the large bump in that tanker once it went through an intersection. These roads are not maintained the best, and maybe they have turned. There it comes emerging from that underpass. So now headed back, I believe this should be north, headed back towards downtown Los Angeles. We're working on what road this is, but now off of the freeways, on side streets, headed northbound towards downtown Los Angeles. And again, we talk about the dangers of what was potentially on board that. We had a viewer tell us that confirming this does look like a milk truck, so no danger of what the payload is. But now you have a large vehicle that has been carjacked, truck jacked, if you will, making its way towards a possibly pedestrian-populated part of Los Angeles, downtown.
Right. And we know, again, like you mentioned, that this driver is downtown. And so far, what we've seen since they've gotten off the freeway here, the roads have been pretty empty, which is a good thing, as this truck has really not stopped or really slowed down much at all. I mean, okay, we can see a little bit of slow movement here. Yeah, but running right through a red light, still going back into definitely what's considered a more populated part of downtown.
Yeah, downtown LA becomes a bit of a ghost town in parts once the sun goes down.
Right.
I know when we have visiting fan bases and media from other cities, anytime the playoffs roll around in a particular sport, they wonder what's going on in downtown. Where is everybody? And so that, again, could be good news. But this is typically where we can see drivers be able to get away during a pursuit. Hide somewhere. It is, as you are seeing from Air 7, it is difficult for airships from helicopters to be able to follow what is happening because of the tall buildings and the many places that a driver can duck into. That's not going to happen here with this tanker truck. There is no hiding. One, because it's not going fast enough to elude those ground units, but two, it's a pretty conspicuous vehicle that you can't exactly hide or tuck into an alley or a parking garage to get away. If anything, these guys might want to bail on foot and try and get away that way, and they would have much more of a chance on foot, say, than just kind of driving a big rig through downtown where they are not going to be lost.
Hey, Bruce, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We know that there are patrol vehicles, law enforcement following behind. I want to ask, in this situation, why we haven't seen any patrol cars kind of get ahead of this truck yet. What are the dangers there?
Well, he's running through intersections, and that's a danger. But one of the things is when you put a patrol car in front, you don't want to do that because now you have a multi-thousand-pound vehicle, which could be used as a weapon against that patrol car. So it's not something that we teach or practice or even think about doing. Yeah. It's a valid question, but it's just not something we do.
We saw somebody running. I wasn't sure whether that was going to be an officer looking to deploy a spike strip or whether it was just someone in downtown watching this play out in front of them. But it's we likely will never know at this point, as they are now blocks away. On 3rd Street and Broadway, heading back towards the 110 freeway, if my sense of direction serves me well, and I don't know if it is, but I believe this is Hill Street, I think, again, heading westbound, and you can see that night sun, the spotlight, searching for where this truck went as they continue their pursuit. The ground units are not going to lose this. It might be a little difficult for those 3 passing airships, 2 from the LA County Sheriff's Department, and they're going through the tunnel. Did they go through the tunnel? So they should emerge on the other side. As those who know downtown know, there is a tunnel. Through the hilly section of downtown, there is that tunnel where it looks like this truck may have gone on 3rd Street, and just waiting for them to emerge on the other side, or if they've already gone through, to kind of pick up their location again. But this is where it gets a little hairy for when this is just an air pursuit. When they go into observation mode, it's tough to keep up with these vehicles, and there we see the law enforcement. Again, like we said, this truck is not going to get away from the ground units, and it's not going to end with anyone successfully eluding and evading police as we see those units. So that truck, we are still looking to locate them. But at this point, it's a matter of looking for the lights of law enforcement pursuing.
Right.
You can see the reflection of those units right now in that building, but we don't see the units themselves. If that is them, they are back on the 110 southbound, and that is the direction they're moving. So let's see if we can pick up. This is an apartment complex. Let's look back to the right, because I think they're on the freeway now, back on the 110 southbound. So let's go a little bit further to the right. I think they're back on the freeway, further over to the right, if our camera operator can hear us. See those lights there on the freeway, just passing back down on the 110 south. We see multiple units here on the 110. We're in a little discrepancy between what they're saying on the radio, still on Figueroa, or whether they're on the freeway. But we see maybe those are officers looking to join the chase right now.
Right.
But again, you see on full display the difficulty in tracking any kind of pursuit through downtown from the air. Sophie, this is a busy part of town. I know it's Los Angeles, and at any point we could see traffic break out. Luckily tonight, both the 101, the 5, and the 110 look to be pretty clear. Yeah,
they do. I mean, we're thinking about heading into Monday morning. Luckily, this is like you mentioned, this is not busy right now. Most of the roads, the streets, the freeway even have not been terribly busy as this one driver, and it appears as though someone else is in that passenger seat, has continued to make this pursuit.
Right, so we're heading down south towards the Crypto.com arena. There you see the lights from LA Live and the arena itself. The convention center is just on the backside of this complex, and we are still looking for those, the lights. There we see one in a reflection of a building. Let's see if this is it. So we see 1 unit and 2, and hopefully that Hotel Indigo right there, the JW Marriott in the courtyard with those kind of cool lights that are pretty observable from downtown, identifiable. And we'll see if this pops out right here. This would be right around Chick Hearn. That's Figueroa on the far side of the arena. I think they're coming down towards the camera, towards our helicopter heading westbound. If we saw the direction of where those units were responding, straight down here into LA Live. As we know, Chick Hearn is now blocked off and now going the other direction. So we don't know the units that we're seeing, whether these are looking to join this chase or whether they are actually part of the chase itself. But we are now searching through these high-rises, the skyscrapers of downtown Los Angeles, and it takes a little time for the helicopter maneuver. And you see in the foreground those infamous graffiti towers, half unfinished towers that were the source of such blight and unrest and movement from within the city. And there we go. So it looks like those might be the pursuing officers ducking back around northbound through downtown. That should be, is that back on Hill? It's a couple blocks east.
Yeah, right near LA Live.
Yeah. So again, now we have our helicopter having to duck around, go back northbound. This is not a difficult, this is not an easy thing to follow. So our thanks to our pilot and our camera operator, because it's a bit of a wild goose chase from the air. But as we saw there on the ground, these officers know what they're doing and they are able to follow, we assume, because right now, once again, we do not have eyes on that tanker truck or the pursuing officers. I do want to mention we are approaching the end of our broadcast. At 11:35, I'm not exactly sure what our plan will be, whether we'll continue on either way. I believe we'll continue to stream as long as we can re-engage and pick up this truck once again. But it is somewhere in the streets of downtown Los Angeles, a tanker truck carjacked on the 5 freeway and driven down from the North Valley down through Hollywood and into downtown Los Angeles. And that is where we stand here at 11:32. This began now coming up almost an hour ago from where this began in the Palmdale, Lancaster area. As we look for where this truck is now, whether they're maintaining their route through downtown Los Angeles or popping out on some kind of artery onto a freeway now, we are not sure, but we're looking for those law enforcement lights to kind of guide us to where this is happening at this hour. So we see another airship there, a helicopter cruising around. Whether that is, I don't believe that's another newscopter that is close enough where I think that should be law enforcement. We were told there are 3 airships in the air. Here is one law enforcement too. And when we see those bunched up, you have to imagine that that is part of the pursuit and whether this truck is just doing circles.
Right. And this has really been kind of our guide. These lights have been our guide through downtown LA because it's hard to follow. As you can tell with the high rises, with trees, it's pretty dark out tonight. And in this area, when we're able to see those police lights, those law enforcement lights, that's really our guide as to where this truck has gone. But again, we can see some of those patrol cars down below. Don't see that truck. And I want to mention our assignment desk is apparently getting many calls about that truck that we've been following. Again, mentioning that they believe it is a milk truck, that it is not carrying hazardous material, which is, of course, a good thing.
Yeah, we have Chris on Twitter asking how we can say they won't escape, yet they escape our own helicopter. Well, there's a difference between law enforcement units on the ground during a relatively slow speed pursuit of a vehicle that cannot get up to great speeds going through downtown Los Angeles. There are multiple law enforcement vehicles in pursuit directly behind this truck. And then you talk about our perspective from the air is a little bit different. So we know the ground units, there we go, picked it back up. I believe this is FIG once again. Going southbound, I think that is FIG, just through the LA Live area. Yep, I think that is Figueroa once again. And so here we go. Yep, back on FIG, and we have re-engaged this pursuit going southbound. There is the tanker truck that was carjacked about 45 minutes ago. Almost, we're coming up on an hour from when this first began. I think it probably is about an hour right about now. So going beneath the 10 freeway, continuing to travel south on Figueroa, going slowly through this part of town. And I think this is what this guy has been doing for the last 10 minutes, is just randomly picking streets in downtown Los Angeles and just continuing this pursuit at slow speeds with those officers right behind it. As Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert, said, he expects to see a spike strip deployed at some point, but we have not seen that yet. We're coming up at 11:35. Are our plans, we sticking with this on air, guys? Okay, so we will continue our coverage now on ABC 7 as this pursuit continues through downtown Los Angeles. Perhaps this driver might be for an on-ramp back onto the 10, or will continue to lead drivers on this back under the 10 freeway. So staying in downtown, now on Grand Avenue, going back northbound on Grand.
I mean, and this driver has just continued to make circles. It appears as though just making turns at random. And as you mentioned, Jory, going at very slow speeds. I mean, we really haven't seen this truck pick up much. A little bit on the freeway when they were there earlier, but has really maneuvered through downtown very slowly with multiple patrol cars following behind, hoping that, at some point this just comes to an end. They slow down. They pull over. I mean, that would be the best case scenario. And again, when we got on the air here, we realized we got calls about this because there were shots fired by either the driver or the passenger right at law enforcement officers.
Yeah, and approaching a red light here. We'll see what this driver does. They have gone through several reds throughout this pursuit, and once again doing the same at Broadway. So we are on Broadway, just crossing over Broadway, it looks like, on Venice Boulevard. I'm not sure if that's right, but going through downtown, crossing over, just trying to get the street sign there. As they continue their way through downtown, another red light here at Los Angeles Street, going eastbound, if my I think that's eastbound. You know, downtown is kind of on a slant, so it's not directly east, but continuing eastbound when you think about the 110 going directly north-south through downtown Los Angeles. They're perpendicular to that and heading east on, says 16th Street. So crossing over Maple now and continuing. We see those officers in pursuit. I wouldn't say hot pursuit because this is probably going just about 25, 30 miles an hour on this relatively small street. And there you see the 10 to the right, that elevated 10. So now paralleling the 10 freeway. This is about the point where this driver got off the freeway, got off the 10 and started driving through downtown, circling around for about 15, 20 minutes. And now it looks like going the wrong way. This will not be the first time this driver has done this. Now going the wrong way, entering the 10 freeway, going the wrong direction on this, what is an off-ramp. What are they going to do here? And you hope that once they reach the freeway itself, that they are able to turn around, but they are not doing so. You see oncoming traffic coming very close here.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations you think about, what do? You see a big rig headed towards you on a freeway in the wrong direction late at night, and this truck continues on towards the main portion of the westbound 10 freeway, now going eastbound in the wrong direction into oncoming traffic.
This is where it really gets very dangerous. Again, you mentioned that, we can see a car kind of approaching, stopping. I mean, coming very close to that car on the right-hand side there. You can see officers in the other lanes. It appears as though maybe they're trying to get in front of this driver.
Racing to get around there and warn these drivers. But you can, think about what these drivers are thinking, going on the 10 freeway and seeing an oncoming big rig headed in the wrong direction directly for you. Thankfully, they are staying off to the side, but that doesn't mean it's any less dangerous to cars who are driving at high speed. That car had to slam on its brakes and avoid a collision. We see other cars here. Boy, this is extremely scary here as we see more traffic picking up and traveling at decent speeds.
Wow.
Another car having to pull off to the side, another car, several cars just stopping in the middle of the roadway. Boy, this is tough to watch.
And you mentioned, hopefully that this truck would turn around earlier, but now I think that would probably cause more harm at this point because of how big this truck is.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that you're able to do that. Cars, okay, looks like getting back off the freeway. Thankfully, that does not put all these cars out of imminent danger, as cars might be still traveling at a high rate of speed there. You see one able to pull over to the side as this truck continues to drive in the wrong direction. This is now an on-ramp going the wrong direction off the freeway, back onto Newton Street, onto side streets, thankfully avoiding collisions. That could have been a dangerous calamity. And now we're looking at the portion, I believe, under the 10 freeway. This might be around the portion where the fire broke out. I'm just going to look.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, this Jack in the Box is right across the street from where that devastating fire broke out under the freeway here, trying to make a turn. A vehicle of this size cannot do this easily.
Wow.
Was there contact made? There could have been contact made. We'll see what this car does if they.
Someone just hopped out of the. They both hopped
drivers
out.
getting out trying to carjack another vehicle and able to do so. It looks like doors are open on a white pickup truck. I did not see anyone emerge from that vehicle and now driving in this car. So a white pickup truck, again, this happened earlier in an earlier pursuit where it went into an underpass, one car entered, another car emerged. We don't know if these guys just carjacked another vehicle or whether they had one waiting for them, but now traveling in their third vehicle, and there go passing law enforcement vehicles, unaware that they are now pursuing a different vehicle. This is the third vehicle we have seen since picking up this pursuit. Now it looks like getting back onto the freeway, and this should be back on the 10 freeway eastbound in a new vehicle. And we are waiting to see anyone in law enforcement pick this up, because as of right now, they have not done so. Oftentimes, I can tell you, they are watching this pursuit. Law enforcement is watching this pursuit at headquarters, and as long as we have it, they will eventually pick this up by watching our broadcast. because on the ground, this is something that you can miss. We talked about a big rig unable to get away from those ground units. They are now in a vehicle that, should circumstances arise in the right fashion for this driver, they could get away. We will stay on them as long as we can until this is picked back up.
Because in that truck that they were driving earlier, so much easier to spot, so much easier to follow, and they were driving, I mean, much slower. It appears that they've really picked up the pace here on the freeway.
Okay, so vehicle number 3, this began about an hour ago in the Palmdale, Lancaster area in another pickup truck. At times going the wrong way on the 5 freeway, that vehicle ended its portion of the pursuit by going the wrong direction on an on-ramp to the 5 freeway. They tried to carjack one big rig that did not have a trailer. That driver was able to back up out of danger, but they continued on carjacking a tanker truck, which we believe now is a milk tanker, taking that from the northern portion of the valley up towards Newhall, taking that down the 5 freeway onto the 170, which becomes the 101 freeway through Hollywood, through downtown, onto the 110 south, and then circling around downtown LA for about 20 minutes before emerging, going the wrong direction onto the 10 freeway just south of downtown Los Angeles, going the wrong direction, getting out and either carjacking or having a vehicle waiting for them, now the 3rd vehicle in this white pickup truck. They may have just gotten off. Yep, they have gotten off the freeway now. It was at Cummings Street. There is that white pickup truck. Again, we have not seen law enforcement pick this up. Perhaps their airships, their helicopter. Yeah, we see the Night Sun there. The spotlights are there. They are following this and have re-engaged this driver as we await for those ground units to catch up. If we can put our Sky Map technology up there and figure out exactly where this is happening. This is Chicago Street, South Chicago in Boyle Heights now. They're waiting for a cross street here. Chicago Street and 6th. So now in Boyle Heights, 6th and Chicago, turning left onto 6th Street.
Coming straight from downtown too. I mean, not too far away. Hopping on that freeway for a matter of 2 minutes or so, and hopping off onto these side streets, which do appear to not be very busy right now. I haven't really seen many cars driving on these streets where they're going, thankfully, keeping a lot of people out of danger. But again, we really haven't seen any of those patrol cars come up close to this truck like we saw while they were in that milk tanker earlier.
Yeah, that spotlight's still firmly on this truck. Law enforcement is still in connection with this truck. We have not seen the ground units come around, but I believe this guy just came around and did basically a loop. Let's, if we can, put that Sky Map back up and find out exactly where we are. Back on Chicago, coming to a stop now. Coming to a stop, a little bit of an obstructed view. The door is open. The driver is getting out. And so someone got out, but the truck is moving on. So this is something we see several times now. If there are multiple people in a vehicle, one person gets dropped off and the vehicle continues on, making a right onto Boyle Avenue at Whittier. So one person, it looks like, was able to get away with those ground units now gone, Sophie. That one person might be able to get away for the time being. We'll wait and see what was seen from that pursuing airship, that helicopter overhead, whether they were able to get a better view. And that is one of the benefits of having multiple helicopters in the sky for law enforcement, is in an event like this, one ship can stay with a person on the ground, another ship can continue to follow the truck, which again continues on down Boyle Avenue through Boyle Heights.
Blowing right through red lights all night. And again, this really began with a driver as a chase with a suspect driving a truck earlier, then colliding head first really into a milk tanker, two people hopping into that truck, then driving into downtown, ditching that truck and hopping into this white truck that we've been following now, picking up the speed here. Are we able to tell just how fast this driver is going?
He's moving just past Mariachi Plaza, I think headed northbound on Pleasant Avenue. Maybe it's going to pick back up. He'll have a chance to get back on the freeway. Going to hit the 101 and the 10 interchange at some point here on Pleasant Avenue. I believe this is heading now northbound. And we'll see what this driver does. Just past Mariachi Plaza a couple moments ago, Cesar Chavez Avenue, going to make a left onto Cesar Chavez, and that's going to cross over the 10 freeway, There you see the freeway go down there. That's the overpass. And now heading back towards downtown Los Angeles, heading westbound. You'll hit Dodger Stadium area if you continue on here far enough. Mission Road now making a right onto Mission. So now heading northbound on Mission, now in Lincoln Heights, past Richmond Street. Again, I don't know how wide we can take this shot, but I don't see any pursuing law enforcement anywhere to be found right now. We believe one person got out of this truck and bailed on foot. We think there might just be one person left. We did see two people carjack the tanker truck. I think we saw both of those guys get into this pickup truck, Sophie, and we saw the door open and one person get out, I believe.
We're getting reports that the door did open, but no one got out. They just swapped drivers.
Okay, so two people still here. That is per police who are trying to catch up to this driver. Third vehicle these guys have been driving during this pursuit. Two pickup trucks and, of course, what we believe was a milk tanker taken for miles on area freeways and doing loops around the LA Live area of downtown Los Angeles. Our Air 7 lost visuals on that tanker truck as it did circles through downtown LA because it's hard for our vantage point from the air to be able to get around those high rises. Of course, the ground units were able to do so. That changed once these two guys got out of the tanker truck and got into this pickup truck. This is video of that happening right beneath the 10 freeway. You can see the passenger hop out. That passenger was the driver initially who pulled off the carjacking. Both guys getting into this pickup truck. I didn't see anyone get out of that truck.
Someone did. I actually did see someone get out of that truck. You know, we know earlier tonight that this started with shots fired at CHP officers. So I wonder if maybe there is still a firearm between the two people in this truck.
Did they get out the driver's side?
They did get off the driver's side. Yeah, it's hard to see because of those columns underneath the freeway. But yes, one person did get out. So there are two people still in this white truck here. Okay, so on Mission Road now, picking up speed significantly at this point. This is faster than we have seen in some time from these guys. Mission Road and Gallardo Street, and we are headed back towards Boyle Heights. This is in Lincoln Heights right now, headed back towards Boyle Heights on Mission Road. This is basically back the way they came, circling back around. We'll see back on Cesar Chavez what they do here. But this is right by that park back under the 10 freeway. This is the 101, near the 101-10 interchange here, just off of here, stopping on that underpass. Just as we have seen happen, this is now the third time today we have seen a vehicle in a pursuit stop in an underpass, and now we have those pursuing ground units. There they are, yep.
Finally catching up at what looks like just the right time, and now we don't know what's happening underneath that freeway, but we have seen twice now today vehicles being pursued, stopping in an underpass and changing vehicles. The first two, we were able to pick it up pretty easily. This one, I'm not sure what's happening, but again, those ground units are right there, able to see what was going on. And there is that truck. Is it being driven or is it rolling?
It's hard to tell.
It could just be rolling on, or there could be people still inside. We saw earlier that first pursuit today, Sophie, they were in a pickup truck, which entered an underpass and just rolled out with the door open with nobody inside but kept going. I don't know if that's happened here, and we'll keep an eye out on either side of people on foot who are emerging here. But those officers continue to follow that truck, and it doesn't look like they have broken off, but they continue down the roadway. Have we entered a freeway? As far as we could tell, they were still back on the road on Cesar Chavez. Do we have word of? Yeah, I think they're back on the side street, back where by the underpass. We didn't see those law enforcement vehicles. Further down the road here, just a little further down this road is where we saw those lights going slowly as the truck emerged from this underpass. Let's see if we can pick up any of the flashing lights here from law enforcement. Can you see them up a little further down? There's one up. Yep, there's one up there, making a U-turn to continue on here. I don't know if that pickup truck continued to just roll with nobody in it, or whether they were inside just driving slowly, but obviously law enforcement here looks like they might be looking for someone. So we're getting word they may have taken another vehicle from somewhere in that underpass. Yep, you can see the spotlight from that vehicle, right, that law enforcement cruiser right there, and another one now circling the block. So it appears that law enforcement might be looking for these drivers. They may have lost them. And you see, do we still have Bruce Thomas on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Bruce, thanks for sticking with us this long. Now, what are you seeing now? We see an officer, I think that's a CHP officer, getting out of their vehicle. Could they be lost at this point? Looks like it.
You know, it appears because there was a lag time between the on-scene of the patrol cars and the suspect vehicle that, like you said, he may have carjacked somebody else and the vehicle was just rolling. I don't see CHP doing a felony traffic stop, but it looks like they're trying to contain an area for looking for the suspect. But at this point, I think they may have lost him.
Looks that way. It really does look that way as they are now 4 deep across the road there here on, I believe, is there still Cesar Chavez? Yeah, Cesar Chavez at Progress Place. It appears that they have lost these guys. This is what we were talking about. It's not something you can do in a big rig going slowly through downtown Los Angeles. It apparently is something you can do when you're driving in a smaller vehicle. Is that the pickup truck there? That's the truck. So it looks like they abandoned this truck, and it looks like it's resting up against some parked cars. So they likely bailed from this, allow it to roll on. I think the officers might have continued pursuing this truck while the 2 guys had gotten out and either gotten to another vehicle. If that's the case, they're pretty much gone. If they did not see that exchange happen on that underpass and they took off 5 minutes ago, they're gone if they're not able to see them now. They could still be in that vehicle. I don't know if they are. They seem to be lined up as if those 2 guys are still in this truck. We are waiting to see whether they approach that truck and are able to clear it, or whether they have bailed and that truck just rolled on its own and came to a stop against those parked cars, which is kind of what looks like it would have happened.
Well, it looks like they're moving forward towards the truck. Again, it's a little hard to see because of, the lack of lights here, but
yeah,
they are
you see some lights moving
truck.
in now. Yep. It's on the passenger side. Now, in between 2 parked cars.
And we know there were at least 2 people inside of this truck. The initial driver hopped out, and the 2 people that we have been pursuing all night, they hopped in there.
And it looks like those officers are backing away. So it's either empty or something happened inside the truck, and there's no longer a danger within the cab because they're backing away from that, now checking the bed of that truck. Officers approaching on both sides, and you can see, was that a covered bed, or can you see right into the bed? Opening the rear door of that, is it a 4-door truck, or is that the driver's door? No, it's the rear door. So it looks like this vehicle is empty. It appears, we can't see everything, all the officers here, but it looks like these guys may have gotten away. So what started more than an hour ago, several carjackings, carjacking of a big rig truck carrying a milk tanker. This truck right here may have been carjacked, or, I mean, it basically was. If we saw the driver get out and run off, they took over. So at least a second vehicle carjacked. On the right side, you're seeing what played out in the Newhall area. That's going the wrong way on an on-ramp to the 5 freeway. They weren't able to carjack that truck that does not have a trailer. They were able to carjack another tanker truck as it made its way down the on-ramp, going on the 5 freeway, through freeways all across our area into downtown Los Angeles, into Boyle Heights, into Lincoln Heights, where this part of the pursuit has now come to an end. It looks like with an empty pickup truck and officers at a loss for where these guys went. It's a disappointing ending for a lot of officers among several jurisdictions, the Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, and other jurisdictions that took part in this pursuit now to come up empty on this pickup truck when so many people were put in such imminent danger at several points throughout this evening.
Right, and continue to remain in danger because these drivers, they're still on the loose. And we know that at one point, at least there was one firearm that law enforcement officers recovered. We don't know if they have others on them. But again, this continues to be a dangerous situation as these guys are still on the run.
Okay, so again, just to run down a quick recap of what happened here. This began around 10:40 this evening in the Lancaster-Palmdale area with reports of shots fired at LA County Sheriff's deputies. That continued onto the 5 freeway where a pickup truck ran into a tanker truck, carjacking. The driver and a passenger got out and carjacked that tanker truck, kicking the driver out of the cab and taking over on a freeway that went from the 5 freeway south to the 170 through North Hollywood, through Hollywood, down to downtown Los Angeles onto the 110 freeway, throughout the streets, circling for about 20 minutes in downtown before getting on the 10 in the wrong direction, getting off, driving around, then carjacking a pickup truck in the South LA Boyle Heights area. That truck is now resting alongside parked cars here in the Lincoln Heights area, and it appears both the driver and the passenger, which have interchanged roles several times throughout this pursuit, have now gotten away.
Suspects are currently wanted by authorities. If you have any information, please contact your local law enforcement. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button.